class. Today we'll be discussing about the topic pollination. Okay, each and every organism in this universe has to reproduce itself. Am I right? Yes. So animals reproduce in a different way, plants reproduce in a different way, and one of the process through which plants reproduce is pollination. Okay, so now we'll be discussing about pollination. What is pollination? See the slide. Pollination is a very crucial process in which the flowering plants and fruits are enabled to reproduce, to produce seeds and fruits. Okay, pollination is a very simple process. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from the male part of the flower to the female part of the flower. What's the male part of the flower? The male part of the flower is the anther. The female part of the flower is stigma. In the previous class we discussed about this, right? Yes. The male part of the flower, which is anther, has pollen grains in them. These pollen grains falls on the stigma of the flower, which further leads to the process of germination, fertilization and reproduction. Okay, so as we discussed now, how does the process of pollination occurs? With the help of pollen grains, this process of pollination occurs. See, these pollen grains contain the male genetic material in them. So this pollen grain, when it falls on the stigma of the flowers, they then continue the process of fertilization and reproduction occurs in them. So pollen grains are the instrument or the source which contains the male genetic material in them. Okay, see why we need pollination. Pollination is very important process to maintain the ecosystem. This helps in the production of fruits, vegetables and everything. Okay, so remember, each and every fruit we eat, the vegetables that we consume, all undergoes the process of pollination. Okay, so yeah, see, when I say pollination, there are two types of pollination. One is self-pollination and another one is cross-pollination. Okay, see, self-pollination. From the word self-pollination, we can understand that the pollen grain is transferred from the anther to the stigma of same flower or to another flower of same plant. Okay, see, consider we have a tomato plant. Okay, we have a tomato plant and that tomato plant has two flowers in them. Okay, two flowers in the tomato plant, and in that one flower which has the male reproductive part, that is anther, that anther has pollen grains in them. That pollen grains disperse and falls on the stigma of the same flower or falls on the stigma of the another flower, the flower 2. You get me? Falls on the flower of stigma of flower 2. So this is self-pollination. This is happening in the same plant. Okay, so this is self-pollination. So when I say this is transferring from one flower to another flower of the same plant, from this itself you can understand that, do they need any agents for the pollination process? No. Yes, self-pollination does not rely on any agents. So what are agents? Agents are nothing but there are some messengers or there are some modes through which these pollination occurs. Okay, so self-pollination, examples of self-pollination are peas, beans, tomato plants, rice plant and all are the examples of self-pollination. Okay, now we'll move to the cross-pollination. So cross-pollination is nothing but the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of one flower to the stigma of flower on different plant of the same species. Okay, consider we have an apple tree, like apple tree 1 and apple tree 2. Okay, apple tree 1 has a flower and apple tree 2 has a flower. The pollen grains from apple tree 1 falls on the stigma of flower which is in apple tree 2. This is cross-pollination. Okay, when I say this falls on the same species of plant, of another plant of the same species, so from this you can understand that they need some agents for the pollination. So cross pollination occurs only through the help of agents. Okay, here the agents are mostly bees, butterflies, wind, water. Okay, so these are the agents of pollination. So examples of cross pollination are apple, corn, sunflowers, and mostly fruits. Fruits and vegetables are examples of cross pollination. Yes, so we came to know the term agents, pollinators. So pollinators are the modes through which pollination occurs. Okay, mostly the pollination occurs through insects and birds. Okay, very rare it occurs through water. That is only in aquatic plant cases. Okay, insects like bees, hummingbirds, and all the insects and all the birds help in the process of pollination. In the first image you can see the honeybee sitting on the flower. See, this is a very common incident that everyone here listening to this class might have seen. Am I right? Yes, everybody here would have seen that particular incident in your life. You might have seen the honeybee sitting on the flowers. You know why flowers are so brightly colored? Flowers, you see, often flowers are in yellow, pink, red, and orange, so bright in colors. These are the way through which they can attract insects. Okay, what these insects do is they sit on the flowers for nectar. They sit on the flowers to accumulate or to get food for themselves. And when they sit on the flowers, these flowers expose or disperse the pollen grains, and these pollen grains stucks on the body of these insects. And see, these insects will not only feed on one flower, they will be keep on sitting or keep on feeding on another flowers for collecting the nectars. And when they go to another plant of the flower or another flower, these pollen grains are being emerged or being settled at the stigma of the another flower. And this is how the process of fertilization, pollination occurs. Okay, yes. And then what are the pollination steps? What will be the pollination steps? See, the first thing, the anthers will be matured, and from that matured anther the pollens will be released, and the pollens will be transferred from one plant to another plant, and germination process occurs, and then fertilization occurs in the plants. Okay, see, I have attached some examples. See the examples of apple tree. See how the bees are collecting the nectars from the flowers of apple tree. See, can you see that? Yes. So this is how the nectars are being collected by the bees or the insects. See, this is how corn pollination occurs. Corn pollination occurs through the tassels and silks of corns. Okay, see, corn pollination is one major example of wind pollination. Corns are being pollinated only through the process of wind pollination. Okay, why pollination is very important? What is the importance of pollination? See, pollination gives us the food security. Okay, see, 75% of the world's food crops depend on the animal pollination, including the most fruits and vegetables. Each and every fruit that we eat, each and every vegetables that we consume has all undergone the process of pollination, as we discussed earlier. So these pollinations are the assurance that we get food. See, every organism, each and every human, each and every organisms that live in this earth has to be dependent on each other. Am I right? Yes. So we are dependent on nature for the prime most thing, which is food, shelter, and other things. And the prime most thing is food. For that food security, pollination is one of the things. Pollination gives us the food security that human beings or the other organisms that live in the world will be afforded with food, will be afforded with fruits, will be afforded with vegetables. And it also enhances the biodiversity. It not only gives us the food security, it also enhances the biodiversity See, it supports the entire environment. Okay. Yes. And the third one is economic value. See, a man's labor cannot make it possible to pollinate the plants, to pollinate the flowers. Okay, a man cannot pollinate each and every flowers and make it possible. But nature itself has adopted one process for the process of reproduction. How beautiful the nature is, right? And it also maintains the ecosystem's health. Okay. Yeah. What how does it maintains the ecosystem's health? See, it makes sure that the ecosystem is balanced. Okay, this is how it makes sure it balances the health of the ecosystem. And yes, so we come to the last slide now. We discussed about what is pollination and what are pollinators and what are the types of pollination, examples for few pollination in actions, and what is the purpose or what is the importance of pollination, and what are the different types of pollination. We all discussed about these things, and comes the last slide. See, pollination is a very small act but with immense impact. Okay, see, as we discussed, it is a very small process. The pollen grains from the male reproductive part falls in the female reproductive part, which is stigma. That's all. The process is very simple, but it is a very small process but with immense impact. This is the only process through which the plants can reproduce. It creates new plant. It creates new generation in the process of pollination. So you might have been through many lowest moments. You might think that you're very low. You might think that you're so weak. You might think that you're not capable of doing anything. You're not capable of your friends, or you're not capable of anybody in your class, whatever it may be. But always remember, you feel weak, if you feel very low, you have a purpose in life. Okay, even if you're very small, always remember to give a good impact on others. Okay, not only giving good impact on others, first give a good impact on yourselves in your lives. Okay, always remember, if you breathe today, you have a purpose in your life. Okay, I hope this class was very useful for you. Thank you so much. We'll meet in next class.